Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Dave's Faves. And today I want to talk about an unusual but really rewarding disc of Franck piano music. It's this one featuring Stephen Hough on Hyperion, containing his two late masterpieces, those being, I have to get this straight because they're kind of similar, the Prelude, Chorale, and Fugue, and then the Prelude, Aria, and Finale, or Prelude, Aria, et Finale. Each of these it's so sui generis. There's very little late Franck piano music. There's very little late Franck anything, right? One symphony, one violin sonata, one string quartet, one piano quintet. His late works are extremely sparse and extremely important because they are magnificent masterpieces and they are completely unique in style, entirely in his own personal amalgam of rich chromatic harmony and, the occasional sort of pointer towards Wagner and, the French obsession, especially with late Wagner, with the mystico-religious Wagner of Parsifal. And these pieces reflect that, these late piano works. They are extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. The other big influence on the music, of course, is Bach, because it was Bach who reinvigorated the French organ tradition, and it was Franck who did most of the reinvigorating, at least in our sort of history by virtue of hindsight point of view, because there was also Widor, and there was Vierne, and there was Guilmant, and there were a bunch of them, and who were all tremendously influenced by the organ writing of Bach in order to give the French organ music a little bit of, let's put it this way. French organ music at the time consisted for the most part of improvisations on famous operatic tunes of the day, often by Meyerbeer, Bellini, or Donizetti, and the kind of thing that it brought people into the church because they loved the tunes and they wanted to hear the organ recital. But, was it liturgically appropriate? Well, not exactly. And Franck, in his late organ works, really demonstrated how you could write music that was not that. I mean, whatever else it was not that. And he did the same thing in these piano pieces. They are extraordinarily well-knit pieces. They're based on motto themes, which appear in all three movements, which we know from for example, from the violin sonata or from the symphony in D minor. It's the same concept. And they're triptychs, they're three-movement creations. Had he called them sonata instead of what they are, that is, prelude, chorale, and fugue, or prelude, aria, and finale, it would have really changed the definition of what a piano sonata could be in the late Romantic period. It's really something extraordinary. And Stephen Hough plays these things magnificently, with just, they're so beautifully done here, with perfect equilibrium between the hands, with a beautiful awareness of the harmonic destination of each of these pieces. They are extremely rarefied versions of what they're called. That is, the chorale and the fugue, for example. The notes tell us, Saint-Saëns said, that's not a chorale, that's not a fugue, it's a thing. And that's the point. And that's why they're great, because they can no longer be, regarded as typical exemplars of their form. They are Franckian exemplars of their form. So after these two masterworks, and they are major works, they're nearly 20 minutes long each. They're big pieces, meaty pieces that you could get your ears into, really cool pieces. We have the Troisième Chorale, which is the organ chorale. Franck wrote 3 chorales for organ, which are gorgeous. Drop-dead gorgeous. And Stephen Hough has made a very sensitive transcription of the third of them for the piano. And then we have the Danse Lente, the slow dance, just 2 minutes of a little salon piece, because, Franck Remember, Franck's career was very interesting. He was horribly exploited by his miserable father as a child prodigy virtuoso type, much as Beethoven was. And he was a child prodigy virtuoso type. I mean, he was extraordinarily gifted from the beginning and always had this sort of personal view of music that was very, very interesting. And so these early works, which never get played, are really very, very interesting. They are in the virtuoso tradition, and or the salon tradition, as I just said. But they're no less worthy for that. So after the slow dance, we get the Grande Caprice. The Grand Caprice. This was billed, by the way, as his Opus 5. It's from 1843. The Danse Lente is from 1885. It's a late work. Pardon me, I don't mean to imply that's a salon piece. Well, it could be a salon piece, but it's a late piece. And the Grand Caprice is an early piece, which is really, and it's fun. It's a big piece. It's 13 minutes long, and it's full of all of the kind of virtuoso piano licks that the later works have none of, which doesn't make them easy, by the way, not by any stretch of the imagination. And then we've got the Lament of a Doll, Les Plaintes d'une Poupée, the Laments of a Doll from 1865, which is only a minute and 57 seconds long. So here you have a really beautiful selection of Franck piano music, including the late masterpieces and some early stuff and a transcription. It's a wonderful selection, a tremendously intelligent recital rendered with great sensitivity and recorded by Hyperion in beautiful sound. And it's just one of those things that everybody should have in their collection. You should have the late piano works. You should enjoy them. You should take your time letting them soak in, because they're very, very special pieces. And they're never going to be played more beautifully than they are here. That's my surmise. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.